Howdy guys, another day, another distro review. And this time, it's Zorin OS version 18. A beginner-friendly distro making no secret that it's trying to woo Windows users. The UI is pretty Windows adjacent, and not visually much different from version 17, I might add. There's some window placement updates and web apps, which I'm curious to try out. I'm guessing it's targeted at the Office 365 crowd. And if you have spent any time on this channel, you'll know I love a good theming update. Now, Zorin has a paid tier where it offers some more advancements through its Pro version. Interesting to see how that pans out. We will, however, be trying out the free tier version, or the core version as it's called. Okay, installer time. So I'm expecting this to be as smooth as butter. Linux installers have come a fair way ease of use-wise, and I'm going to say they are easier than Windows and Mac. Plus, you won't need to untick dozens of marketing slop, and the latest AI features they try to force down our throats. Linux comes as is, warts and all. You definitely want the third-party software included, but I'm going to leave the updates for later to save us some time. One thing I'm curious to look into with Zorin is the paid version differences. I'm not sure how many users actually fork out the additional $80 or so for the paid version. That's Australian dollars, by the way. Leave a comment. If you've paid for a Linux distro, guys, I'm curious to hear your experiences. Also, as always, drop a like and subscribe. Okay, let's log in. Sort of a dark login screen to start with, but oh well. Righto, onwards and upwards. Zorin 18. The welcome tool looks nice. We have some UI to start with. Familiar Windows-esque layout. And the desktop layout options looks like it's split between Mac, Windows, and I guess it's Ubuntu Linux, or the Unity version of Ubuntu. We will have a detailed look into that soon. Connect your device to Zorin. That's good. It was highlighted on their website as well. Also, the first look at the window tiling seems to trigger a bit too much. At least, that's my first impression. The UI is very Windows-like. Although if you are a GNOME user, this will also seem very familiar. They seem to have modified stock GNOME and added a few appearance changes. All the standard widgets are included, and I must say, it looks quite polished. Also, this looks like it's the desktop switcher. I've wondered how many Windows users find that useful. Looks like Zorin OS has gone with the Brave browser instead of Firefox. The menu is something Zorin has always done well. I remember this from version 17 as well. I actually think usability-wise, and this is probably a hot take, Windows XP had the best start or application menu. And Zorin is also pretty easy to use. Applications are categorized. All the locations and shortcuts are sort of where you expect. Nice work. And we also have included the LibreOffice suite, which will be your offline replacement for MS Office, although they have highlighted integration with Office 365 quite a bit too. Let's try out NeoFetch, but we do find out that Zorin looks like it's Debian based, so you can just do an apt install. Just a quick note, on the updates I just ran, Zorin made it super easy, a nice little list of packages, and it was all done. Zero difficulty. Well played, Zorin OS. Okay, so let's have a look at the new UI. So one of the first things I noted is the new window tiling, and it works quite well for the most part. But I had some trouble when my screen resolution was lower. The issue is this little bar at the top. It seems to trigger too easily, and sometimes when you're not really wanting it. But for the most part, it's quite useful. There's a nice selection of wallpapers with Zorin. They have a slight Windows feel to it. Some might say boring, but also nice and colourful, and fits most of the UI colour schemes users will want. This is one of those areas where Windows users will feel nothing too drastic has changed. Alrighty, the desktop layouts. And it seems like we don't have much on the free core version. There's 4 in total. Or I guess realistically these two only change the label display on the application list. Option 3 looks like it changes how the application or start menu displays, full screen versus traditional. And option 4 looks like it's more hidden, similar to stock GNOME. Realistically, this seems like modifications that one would usually do via a GNOME extension. So it looks like they are pushing you to the Pro version to get anything else. And we also have the standard GNOME color schemes. But as I mentioned before, they have tweaked this a little. It's more gradient than a flat color, as stock GNOME would use. I think I prefer the lighter version and not dark. It seems a bit more polished, and what they were aiming for. The Software Center on Zorin OS is the standard GNOME package manager. It's not as good as something you get with Linux Mint or similar, but I think it works well and it's easy to use, especially if you're new to Linux. Nothing too fancy. Looks like they support Flatpaks and, as mentioned before, apt packages, so you get the Debian experience in an easier to use format. The file manager is also the GNOME default, but once again with a few UI and visual tweaks, this is the sort of change where I think Zorin shines. Just small improvements here and there making Linux shine. Okay, so this was one of the more interesting aspects of this distro, the web apps. It seems like it's a way to add a web application link to your desktop. Typically, you would use this for something like Office 365, Or Gmail, maybe. It's a nice touch and works quite well, but seems like the icon doesn't always stick. So I thought I'd spend a little time looking into what the Pro version offers and see if it's worth it. I was not too happy with the desktop options on the core version. There's a lot of visuals here, but I suspect it's just a nicely packaged version of mods you could just do to GNOME with a little time and understanding. A lot of the additional tools mentioned seem to be open source alternatives to what a Windows user would want. It's likely just been set up and configured and ready to use out of the box. Applications like Blender or Krita can sometimes need a few added plugins or a driver for better performance. I suspect Zorin Pro makes that all seamless and you just start working straight away. Now, I'm not a fan of this approach myself. I would much rather learn how to set all this up rather than have to pay. That's not to say I disagree. I think there's space for everyone under the Linux umbrella. So final words, Zorin 18 Core, I would definitely recommend for a new Windows user. Zorin Pro, I'm not so sure. Let me know in the comments what you think. Would you pay for Linux? Well, thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe. Until next time.